Hello everybody and welcome back to Odin's Movie Blog. I am the critic who is a cynic, and today we're going to be talking about an article from NME.com written by James Luxford, which says, "Is fan power ruining Star Wars?" Now there's of course a lot of things that can be taken from this title and also from this blog post as well, but what I wanted to do today was to really break down what is being said here and why this is so relevant to the wider conversation that's being had between people who I would consider to be very core, hardcore Star Wars fans, and the Rian Johnsons, Kathleen Kennedys, and the upper echelon of the Star Wars universe, the people who are running the show right now at Star Wars and pretty much running Star Wars into the ground, and why their argument, or rather lack of an argument, is what is problematic in this whole affair. And so what we're going to be talking about today is especially significant, dealing with reality and common sense. They don't have it, and they're not based in reality itself. And we'll actually see that as we start to go through the major points of this particular blog post and how this connects to everything else that's been going on with Star Wars lately. So first, even the title itself says a lot. It says, "Is fan power ruining Star Wars?" With a title like that, you already at that point are making very clear what you're about to do in your article. He says, "Is fan power ruining Star Wars?" which means the answer to that question, according to him, most likely, because this is what all the articles are doing these days, is going to be saying fan power is ruining Star Wars. And we'll see exactly what arguments he has, if he has any arguments. Spoiler alert, he doesn't, but let's dive into it anyway to see what he has to say. So, he says, "The recent calls for a remake of The Last Jedi are the latest embarrassing episode of problematic fandom." Ever watch a movie and I thought I could do better than that? Well, Twitter account Remake The Last Jedi is putting someone else's money where their mouth is, crowdfunding the budget to remake Star Wars Last Jedi in a manner that pleases them and the vocal minority they have led the backlash against the film. So the reason why I stopped there is because this is really what point one is all about, because again, this is all about us talking about what is common sense, why does this not have any common sense, why are these people not based in common sense, and why is that significant? So first, in the very heading of it, it says the latest embarrassing episode. So they're already saying that this is an embarrassment, and they're already painting that picture, a very broad brush, about anyone that is a part of this movement that's against The Last Jedi and is against the current direction that Star Wars is going. They're just saying, oh, this is an embarrassment, this is a vocal minority, is the other point that was being said. Here's the funny part. What part of that is based in reality? How does this person know how many people hate or even like The Last Jedi? He doesn't. In fact, none of the people who are talking about this have any idea what the actual numbers are. The only real statistics that we have are Rotten Tomatoes, which, as everyone knows, are not always fully accurate, and also just the, public opinion polls that we don't really have in existence. So where are they getting these numbers from? That's right, they're just making them up. They are just living in their own tiny little bubble, assuming that everyone, for the most part, agrees with them, and therefore this is a vocal minority. Now, where do we stand, or at least where do I stand? Some people throw around the number 20%, but I just think they get that number out of thin air. So where do I stand? Well, personally, I think it's probably closer to 40 to 50% of the people who hate The Last Jedi and want to see Star Wars go in a different direction. However, I will also admit that I don't have the actual numbers, so that I could be wrong. That is the difference between what I'm saying, what this person's saying, and what other people like Rian Johnson and Kathleen Kennedy are saying, is that they will not admit that they could be wrong. They will not admit that they don't have the actual hard data to back up what they're saying. I do. I do say that, and that's the reason why I'm basing mine in common sense. I'm basing my evidence in common sense, because I know that there is a large portion of people out there who not only dislike The Last Jedi, but at the very least dislike the direction that Star Wars is going, think that Star Wars could be a lot better, and so therefore what I'm doing is I'm seeing what's going on, I'm being aware of all the different voices that are out there, and then I'm drawing a conclusion. Not happening on the other side, as we see with this article again, talking about minorities and talking about there being an embarrassment. Again, these are all people who are just trying to spin the wheel, trying to spin the story in whatever way they can, and not actually basing it in reality. Now let's actually see what else this person says. So I'm waiting for this evidence that this person seems to have implied that he has as to why this is ruining Star Wars. And so then he says, "Hounding online stars, or stars online rather. This isn't the first incident to arise from The Last Jedi's release. Actor Kelly Marie Tran, who played Rose Tico, was forced to close her social media accounts due to months of sexist and racist abuse." Okay, so here's the other thing. This is also a very common narrative among the SJWs, among Rian Johnson, Kathleen Kennedy, etc. And keep in mind, when I say SJW, I mean someone who not only has a liberal ideology, but also wants to force that on other people, and also is the person that I'm talking about today. The person who is not based in reality, the person who does not make common sense arguments, and even on top of that, will refuse to argue anyone that disagrees with them, because they would rather say, oh, I'm right, you're just a racist and sexist, and so because I can call you those things, that means I don't have to engage with you. When in reality, it means, oh, I don't have a valid argument, I don't have any facts and figures to back up what I'm saying, but because I can say these words and they mean something to me, that makes me feel better about myself. That's what's going on right now. That is really the difference between the two major groups. One is based in common sense and reality, and one is not. That doesn't mean that one opinion is right and one opinion is wrong, because when it comes into opinions, I can have a conversation with someone who liked The Last Jedi and have a disagreement with them over it, as long as they are willing to remain based in reality, grounded in common sense, and come up with actual reasons as to why they like The Last Jedi. If they say anything, oh, well, you're just a racist, you're just a sexist, or attack someone's character, then at that point, they have lost the argument. At that point, they do not have an argument. And that is what we're dealing with, for the most part, with the people who are being very outspoken in their defense of Rian Johnson, Kathleen Kennedy, and all the SJWs that are currently running Star Wars. And that's why it's important. This right here, this story has no basis in reality. Why? Well, answer me this question. Has Kelly Marie Tran come out on record and said, I got off of social media because I was being attacked? No. In fact, there's no real evidence to support that that is the reason why she got off social media. In fact, there is more evidence to suggest that she got off social media because she was about to go film episode 9, and also that it's very well known that if you just temporarily suspend your Instagram account or most other social media accounts, that it deletes all the content that you've posted. The problem is that the media did not want to actually go into their articles. They don't want to actually go into their narrative based in common sense and say, well, we don't really know what happened, but we do know that there was some harassment going on. But that's the problem too, is that, well, everyone gets harassed. It's not just Kelly Marie Tran. I mean, Mark Hamill gets harassed on a daily basis, and he's a white man. And again, it doesn't matter what your race or gender is. You will get attacked. If you are a big name personality, and if you are in the public sphere, especially on social media, you will get attacked by someone, because there are enough sick people in the world. Still very small minority. Again, probably I would say 1%, less than 1%. Where did I get that statistic from? I pulled it out of thin air, but I'm basing it in common sense and basing it in reality that it's really, in the long run, not a whole lot of people when you compare it to so many other people who do not have that same view. So again, as you just saw, I just based an argument in reality and also still have the common sense to be able to say, but here's what's actually going on. Once again, that is not what the SJWs, that is not what these people over at Lucasfilm are actually doing, or the people who are being the mouthpieces for Lucasfilm are doing. They're just not basing themselves in reality. So again, their whole Rose Tico thing, blown out of proportion, nothing's been confirmed. Now, if she were to come out tomorrow and say, I got off social media because of this, that would lend more credibility to what they're saying. The problem is that hasn't happened, and so they're just putting the narrative out there without actually basing it on any evidence, or again, not basing it in reality. And that is the whole point of today's video, is to show you that, again, these people do not base themselves in reality and do not base themselves in common sense either. So let's see what else has to be said. While this video pops up for some reason, this is just silly. All right, so anyway, it says, here's the other part too. All right, so you see the title, The Evolution of Trolls, and the very first line totally just destroys whatever it was trying to say because of these words. Angry fanboys are nothing new. Well, last time I checked, there aren't just overweight, middle-aged white men who do not like The Last Jedi. Last time I checked, there is a wide array of ages, there's a wide array of different races, and there's a wide array of different genders who dislike where this is going and where this has gone. So here's my biggest problem, is that there is this assumption out there that everyone who's been on this whole movement against The Last Jedi, whole movement against the SJWs in charge of Lucasfilm, that they're all white, that they're all older white men. And that's just not the case. Again, I will say it once again. Check out Anna, That Star Wars Girl, Jesse Milestone, Abu Nas. Again, people of various colors and backgrounds, and also various genders as well. This is not something where it's just based in white fanboydom, or whatever words they're going to come up with next. Again, so they make the statement, they make the argument, it's not based on reality or common sense, and so therefore the argument has no merit. All right, let's see what else they do here. Intergalactic entitlement. Of course, not every fan is motivated by race or gender. In fact, most fans are not. See, if you were basing yourself on truth, if you were actually trying to get to the truth and the core of the matter, you would say, now we all know that most people in general, fans especially, are not motivated by race and gender. Most people, when they go to see, especially let's talk about Star Wars and specifically movies, when most people go to see a movie, do they say, I wonder how many white people are in this film, I wonder how many black people are in this film, etc.? No, most people do not think that. Now, are there probably a few people that do? Sure. Again, people are going to go see movies for so many different reasons, but can you honestly say that if you were to do a survey outside of a movie theater and ask people, oh, are you going to see this movie because of the race of the person on the screen? Most of them would say no. And again, it's because it's just common sense. It's like, no, I want to see this because the story looks awesome, because the characters look awesome. That is why most people are motivated by going to see, or rather motivated to go to see a movie or support a product, is because it looks compelling and it looks interesting. So once again, we see They are not basing themselves in reality. They are not using common sense. And let's see what it ends the article with. It says, in short, bad movies happen and not everyone's going to be happy. However, creating such a backlash for something that doesn't meet a particular group's standards taints the legacy of the franchise they purport to protect and will no doubt make dynamic filmmakers think twice about being involved as the series move forward. To quote Johnson, oh, this is going to be good, in a recent tweet, on social media, a few unhealthy people can cast a big shadow on the wall. Well, Ryan, you just said it yourself, a few unhealthy people, which means a very small amount, because that's pretty much what there is out there. It's a very, very small amount of people. Not the people who are talking about Star Wars right now, not the people like Geeks and Gamers, not the people like Abunas, not the people like Ethan Van Sciver or World Class BSers or any of the other channels that I've mentioned already today. We are not that small little people that you're talking about, because we are actually a very large community. Just look at all the sub counts, look at all the views, look at all of those things. We are by no means a very small group of people. Now, you can go and try and break down statistics all you want. I'm still waiting for the actual evidence to show 20% or so of the people are part of this movement. Again, could it be true? Probably, but again, I'm still waiting to see the numbers on that. And I'm also waiting to see the actual numbers on why you're able to say most people like The Last Jedi. Okay, show me those numbers, because if you're just going to show me that 91% on Rotten Tomatoes of liberal SJW critics, then I'm sorry, but you've already, again, you've already proved my point that you're not basing any of your arguments in reality or using common sense. So what we see here is, again, Rian Johnson's quote, on social media, a few unhealthy people can cast a big shadow on the wall. Perhaps to save the future, some fans should be a little less precious about the past. And that is the last point I want to make, is that is the last thing that most of these people focus on. They think that all of us are stuck in the past. They think that all of us just want the past to exist. And also, a lot of times, they will go on to extend that to, oh yeah, these are just a bunch of white people who want things to go back to the way they were when white people were on top. And which is, again, none of that is based in reality. None of that is based in fact. All they can do is attack. All they know how to do is just make crap up and try and say, oh, we're right, and if you disagree with us, then you are just a racist or a sexist, without actually presenting the evidence. It's not that we're stuck in the past. It's not that we want Star Wars to be exactly like Star Wars was back during the 1970s, 80s. What we want, the thing that most of us want in this community, are good Star Wars films with good characters, good arcs, and good films. That's what we want. Most of us just want that. We could give a damn about anything else. The problem is that we're not getting those things, and then on top of that, you have Rian Johnson, who will just call out anyone that doesn't like his film a man baby, a racist, or a sexist, and that goes for almost any other person when they try and defend The Last Jedi or anything that's going on with Lucasfilm right now. They will go and toe the SJW party line, and they will do nothing else. They will not engage in reality or common sense. And so that's the message I want to leave you with today. Whenever you engage with someone, whenever you would disagree with someone, base your arguments on common sense, base it in reality. You can still have a disagreement. You can have a different opinion, and that can be fine. You can end the argument or the discussion with having the same opinions that you came in with, but at the very least, base it in common sense. If the first thing that you're going to do is paint somebody as a racist or a sexist when you actually have no credible evidence to support what you're saying, then you've already lost. All right, guys, so what do you guys think? Do you agree with anything I'm saying? Let me know in the comments below. What are your experiences with some SJWs and some of the nonsense that they've told you? Please let me know that as well. If you like this video, please hit that like button. Also, please subscribe if you haven't done so already. We're very close to 1,000 subscribers. And also, please know that if you are not a part of our live stream community, please join us. We go live pretty much every single night. And the day that we get to 1,000 subscribers is going to be the day that I do an entire live stream wearing a Chewbacca onesie. So if that's something that might interest you, then please subscribe now, because you'll make it happen a lot faster. But also, the faster that we get to 1,000 subscribers, the faster I'll be able to start doing some giveaways. That's something that I've always wanted to do for a very long time, is give away digital copies of movies, even physical Blu-rays as well. And that's something that I will have more opportunities to do once we reach that threshold. So thank you all guys so much for watching. Have a great day, and as always, God bless.